seduces me, right? I mean, I can't run from shit, right?
Yeah, not as a man, not as a grown, mature
No,
man. We don't get to run. What you running from?
we gotta deal with our own impulses. We have to. Okay, let's get into it.
I don't dance. All I do is what does he say?
What?
I don't dance. All I do is
The
that's the whole
Dougie?
song.
I
Okay.
don't I don't cheat. I just explore options.
Yeah. The thing. Yeah.
But yeah, like so as far as discipline goes, because when we become a man, we have to acknowledge there's so many things trying to get us out of balance.
Constantly.
It's never going to end. So then now with that knowledge, do we run from things or do we go into them and just face them, even though they might damage us and we might lose? Like what's going to keep us? Uh, so okay, my question is: do we run from it and stay away from it, or do we let it happen with the new principles of our boundaries? Because now we have to apply them to everything. Um, we don't want to get weak by succumbing to our vices, be it women, be it drugs, be it anything that harms our well being. So then, if we know that's never going to end, that's what we have to really focus on
Yeah.
as disciplined men that are different, you know, because if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Well, yeah. So as men too, it's like know thyself. Know that like I know personally. I'm not gonna allow myself to be. So say there's a woman who likes me and we have some chemistry, but I already know. Look, this ain't gonna work out. I don't want to. I don't want to do it for whatever reason. Maybe I work with her, or maybe I see her in my dance community too often. Um, so I already know that I don't want to do that. So I know myself well enough to not allow myself to be alone drinking alcohol with her at her house, right? Because that's I already know myself. I'm not going to be able to stop if I'm at her house and we're drinking and she's hitting him. Like it's probably going to go down. So I won't like knowing myself is like if I already know that I don't want to cross that border, then I'm not ever going to be alone with her and drinking. You know what I mean? So it's like there's the discipline of just don't put yourself in the situations that are going to antagonize your weaknesses. And as a man, I have a libido weakness. I love sex. I love women. So I just won't allow myself to get there. It would be like just not happening.
Okay, so just to move that a little further, so if you do go and you do have sex, no matter how she received it or how she feels about it, you still got to maintain frame and say, okay, I like that. It happened. We were both grown ups. We got there. I have to pull back and do what I'm doing. Or do you just say, hey, it's best not even to do that because I know that I can't do that?
I just know that sex is too powerful. Once it's done, you can't control it.
Mm.
You never know how someone's going to react. They may fall in love. They may get really emotionally attached, and now you got this woman, and then a woman scorned is no
No joke.
small thing. So it's like it's just drama. I don't want drama in my life, and it's like sex is great, but it's not like the be all end all.
Right,
You know what
right.
I mean? So it's like, oh, I'm gonna risk all this stuff, and it's like, no, I don't want to be treating people like that. If I'm gonna have sex with someone, I want it to at least have the potential in my mind to do it many times. For it to it needs to be have the potential to grow into something real. If I already know that it's not going to grow into something real, then it's my moral code to not just don't do it.
That's well said. Then that's how I live because I realize, oh, that girl, oh, she's this, and I see she's gonna think something, and so basically, yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying because now I see as a critical thinker, a lot of the problem is as carefree as sex is becoming, especially it's more emotionally traumatizing for women. So when they do it and then it doesn't lead to anything, that puts a layer of trauma. And then I was listening to somebody and he was talking about trauma and emotions. Traumatic emotions are things that create the pain body, like you say.
Mm.
Basically, what we do is we bury it alive in our psyche, and it's just sitting there. It
Yes.
doesn't go nowhere. We bury it alive.
Yes.
And so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a lot of women and men, but just women from my standpoint, because that's what I'm looking for. So I realize if they gave up sex to a man and it didn't pan out the way they thought, and even if the man left cordially or whatever,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. like you said, they still have scorn. That's their immaturity. It's part of they have to mature on that. And understand the power of who they give sex to. They have to be responsible for that more. I don't think women are.
And
They
it works
just,
both ways too.
oh yeah,
We fall for it.
oh for sure,
They have sex once, and like we want more, and like nah, we're good,
right,
and we yeah.
yeah. But it seems like since women have to wrap their mind and do all kinds of stuff to even get intimate with you, it's more magnified. For the most part. There's always exceptions, but so now as I go into the dating market, I'm realizing, oh, especially women who are 35 and up, you know what I mean? Like they've gone through some stuff. And so what I realize I'm dealing with is different degrees of trauma that's being buried alive in these women's psyches, and it keeps them closed and very careful, which makes it hard for you to connect with them. And so all they can be left with is it's hard for them to open their heart up to a guy who they feel they have a good chance with. So it's easy to have sex with the guy who's the Tyrone, or somebody they can
Well, some. I mean,
disconnect with.
it's not I see women like that, but that's not been my experience with a lot of the women. That's a certain type of woman.
Right.
I don't even know if that's the majority. That's just a certain percentage that do that.
Right.
But I see a lot of women who are like in their 30s, 40s, still ready to fall in love.
Right.
And are willing.
Right.
And
I believe that too.
Yeah.
But then again, I think the immaturity is if they feel scorned, even if a guy left cordially. That to me is the immaturity of women. You know what I mean? That they have to deal with living this single, independent woman life.
I see that even too. Not even just women. I see that just with people. It's just like once we get the leaving cordial doesn't matter. Like I think like people will say like you should have left. Like that doesn't matter. What matters is I fell for you and you don't want to be with me, and that hurts my feelings, and I'm angry at you, and I'm gonna look for anything you did that I could say you did wrong and try to attack you with it.
Or I guess that's the immaturity. Instead of saying I don't like how it happened, if I do extra, it's my ego that is not going to help me. That's the immaturity. Let's just get real.
Person will be like, listen.
Ooh, I learned this lesson. I didn't like it.
I'm sad. I like you. I want to be with you. You don't want to be with me. Okay. Thank you.
And
the real maturity is thank you for the experience. That's mature. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying I would be able to do it if I felt somebody. Actually, I can. I've done it, so
right.
I guess I can.
So I guess the maturity is like for both parties is when things happen that didn't pan out the way you thought, you can feel all the things that you would naturally feel, yes. But you have to, if you want to grow, then you say, okay, that's not going to happen again.
Okay, there we go. Let's talk about this too. That's about taking responsibility. So I think it's so huge. Who is responsible for how we feel? I think a lot of us are taught, this is another one of the lies, that other people are responsible for how we feel. And I would say that is untrue. That is
absolutely untrue.
So like take it, right? So you meet somebody, let's say I meet somebody, we have a great night, we have sex, it's awesome. I'm like thinking all these things, and I'm like, wow, this is great. I call her the next day, she's like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to do that with you anymore. Lose my number.
Ouch.
Ouch. How am I gonna feel? I'm gonna feel sad. I'm going to feel embarrassed. I'm going to maybe feel angry. And so who's responsible for how I feel? Me. Because if I'm sad, it's because of how I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking I want more, and now I don't get it. But what if I was like, wow, okay, she doesn't want to be with me then? I'm glad at least I got that one night, and now I'm happy. Now I'm thankful.
And I have a lesson.
Thank you for the lesson. Like, oh gosh, and this worked, this didn't work. I could be happy, or I could be angry. I'm thinking, you know what? You should have done this. If I'm angry because I had expectations of what I think she should have done. But if I change my expectations, I'm also going to change how I feel. So here's the bottom line. The way you feel is always going to be based on how you are thinking about the situation, not about what happened. So if someone could come up and slap you right in the face, stranger slaps you in the face, how are you going to, and you're angry. You can say, I'm angry because of them. No, you're angry because you have an expectation that you're not going to get slapped in the face. And if someone could slap you in the face, and then you might feel sad for them. Because what kind of person is walking around and slapping someone in the face? You might all of a sudden feel all this empathy and like love for them, because you're like, oh my God, you must be such a wounded, traumatized person. And I'm just so sad that you know. Or you can be angry. Someone slaps you, like, I'm going to slap you back. And it's on. it all depends on your thinking. So I so recommend to anybody out there, really try to digest that fact that no one is responsible for how you feel. And then you avoid blaming other people for how you feel, and you take your power back. You are in
Mm.
control of how you feel.
Yes, yes, I totally agree with that because yeah, anything that was wrong in my, I didn't get that. I didn't get that. You know, I'm responsible, and I got it a while back, but I see a lot of people still struggling with it. And so no one's responsible for how you feel. So I guess the highest level of uh, having a life that you're going to grow in is every interaction you get into with anybody, no matter what and how deep you go, is your choice. And when it doesn't pan out, you just take that L, you hold that L and just learn from it and
Mm-hmm.
just say, okay, that didn't work. But when you get retaliatory or any of that stuff, that's ego. That's you going, you're in the wrong at that point
Yes.
because you're not saying, okay, because the person that does it this way, the first way, nobody's at fault. I mean, uh, they're not to blame for how I feel. Then I grow and I make adjustments in my behavior the next time.
Yes. Then you learn the lesson.
And then I learn the lesson. And then I know what questions to ask. I can see more. But if you don't want to do that, then you want to get retaliatory. And it's hard not to want to feel retaliatory. But if we're talking about growth and well being and being well adjusted in the real world, then you're going to have to move on quicker and understand what it was. And that's what they say. Don't take anything personal. Because really, who knows why that chick said, "Hey, I don't want to see you anymore." It could have been a lot of things. Or reunited with her boyfriend. She whatever. It could be many things. She has to move. She got a cancer diagnosis, or all this stuff. So, or she just doesn't like you. The worst
No,
one.
that's not one. That can happen.
Impossible. But even if it is that, so what?
Yeah.
Not every woman's gonna like you.
That's a lie. No, I'm just
That's not a
that's
fact.
a damn lie.
Every woman likes me. No.
Which is a good attitude. But also, there's that concept of being unflappable too. So, like, if you get upset, that's always your issue. That is a sign of a weakness in you. Doesn't matter what happened. If you got upset, you're losing in that moment, which is fine, which is natural. But just know that you didn't have to get upset. Doesn't matter what they did. They lied about you. Someone's lying about you, spreading, and you're angry. That's still your fault. You don't have to get upset ever. But it's okay if you do, because we're human, we're not perfect. But just don't ever blame. You get upset, never blame the other person. No matter what happens, own it. You're slipping, learn from it. Okay, I'm upset. It's okay. You don't need to judge yourself. But yeah, I'm angry.
I'm
It's not
angry.
the fault, though. It's my fault. Why am I angry? Think about what your expectation was. That was clearly not reality, you know? Because anger is usually is related to some expectation.
Of course, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that you made up in your own mind,
Yeah.
right? And so I would say the power of indifference. Just kind of look at, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting turn of events. It didn't work in my favor.
So you're saying I have a small penis? I don't have sex, bro. Okay.
You're throwing rumors out. That's interesting. So I had sex with you. It didn't pan out in your eyes. Now you're creating rumors to shame my name. That's interesting. You know what I mean? So I guess again, that's understanding the world you live in, and that stuff happens. And I think to learn your lessons is the next time you're going to get signs. If you look closely, you'll probably get signs early that this person was like this, but you just didn't see them. You were clouded with that the chemicals were going good, and so I wasn't trying to look at the specifics.
It's so crazy how, like, wow, in the beginning it's just like we just literally are on our homemade drugs within our body. We have rose-colored glasses.
Right.
We can't see any faults in the woman. All we can see is like, this could be the one.
Right.
She's perfect. Just know that that's just what that's just our biological makeup.
Yeah. I think too, like, I don't know where it came from. I think it was embedded in me, but I always was always about when the dust settles. Like, it's good in the beginning. So I always had that, like, let me see when the dust settles. I guess watching my mom's relationships, it all starts, or even like Nancy's or Destiny's oh, sorry. Some of my family members, let's redo it. Yeah. So some of my family members just learning the lessons of watching them and how euphoric they are in the beginning, and then you talk to them like 2 weeks later. Oh, that asshole. Right. It's like what happened, So and so it started to get born in me, embed in me that I know things are going to be good in the beginning and tasty and sweet, but I wait till the dust settle before I make my final decision, right?
Yeah, I know that too. It's still hard.
I know,
I
I
still
know.
like just get delusional. Hey,
Yeah, it's well said. See, that's acknowledging, hey, we want to be delusional sometimes.
every time I meet a new attractive woman, like I want to, you know, have sex with her.
Right.
It's just, I guess it's, I don't, I guess that's, it's why we're human and the species survives. But yes, I don't get delusional about that. Now I
Right.
understand. It means nothing.
I think you've learned that lesson more than anybody.
It really means nothing in the beginning if I want to have sex with you. That's pretty common.
Yeah.
Very attractive. But then, yeah. So let's talk to it. If I still want to after we've talked 3, 4, 5 times, that means something.
Right, right. Yeah.
Speaking of discipline, a few weeks ago we talked about how to get a girlfriend and was to save your chi, not busting your nuts. How's that been going?
Yeah, I mean, only, I guess when I go see, my, one little thing that I got going on. Of course I
Oh,
do it
okay.
then. But I mean, I have,
Okay.
but as I'm cleansing, it's definitely easier not to.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, what I'm doing, I'm not underestimating the power of, I want to change now. And so I have to stay on task with my impulses as they're coming, and I have to address them. I have to breathe through
Especially as we
them.
get older, right?
Yeah, I don't want to, I have to go because I can never return to the weight that I have right now. I, this has to go. I'm not coming back to this level ever again. It's going to be at a higher level, So, and I cannot underestimate it because I see so many people fail at this point. They're at the crossroads after 40. Your patterns are pretty established. You got to be starting to, start to tweak stuff now and acknowledge how. If I want to be more effective as I'm older and wiser, I want to live longer, have energy, and still be attractive to women.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when I'm actually in my prime of wisdom and everything,
Yes.
I want to be a vibrant male force that's still hot. And, so there's rules to that game. And it's called discipline.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been strong on it too, and it's awesome. It's like you just when you don't bust, you just are more grounded. You're more clear, especially with women, and they sense it. Definitely, they sense it. They feel it. I don't think they like consciously sense it, feel it, but they just respond to you differently. You respond to them differently. Your motivation is different. Your tolerance is different. You don't have to, like I said before, like you don't need any more coaching. If you're not busting nuts, you don't really need coaching on how to interact with women so much. You'll just know. You know
Right.
what I mean? And you also don't need to overdo it. Like a lot of times, like when we're thinking about, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta say this, no. Like I told you before, if there's this one woman in class, if I just say, how old are you? I think she's gonna know why I'm asking. That's like literally all.
You reveal a lot in your questions. Right.
You don't have to be like, hey, can I go out on a date with you? Something. No, you don't do that. It's like, how old are you? That's enough.
Yeah.
And then you know what I mean. So that's what you understand when you don't bust. That's really to the youth. Try it out, or anybody who's struggling with finding a girlfriend or feeling confident.
Right. Right. No, that's true. And two, like, reading, listening to this one guy, he was talking about, uh, if you're an older guy dating younger women, you know, uh, they're gonna throw questions. They're gonna test you. He talks about the test, so maybe they'll, make uh, a comment, a sexual comment, and if you jump on it like a dog that hasn't had a meat in a while, she's like, oh, whoa, whoa, you know. Or if she asks you, well, how old are you? And you kind of, well, I look younger, and you start explaining too much. No, I'm 50 this, or I'm 40 this. You say it and you move on. Right. Right. So it's like you're evasive with that stuff. It's like basically own everything you are, and then you impose your reality on her reality. She has a reality, and then you want to impose your reality with confidence on her and see if it takes. But you don't like you pull back. You don't
You
explain.
want to date a younger woman?
I don't care. I mean, to me, it's all the same. It's I'm going to apply the principles, and I'm going to keep my
Well,
boundaries.
what's your preference?
Um,
What's the ideal age
I
of
mean, I
dating?
have no problem with young as it is at 18 to 30. To my age. You
No
know what I mean?
difference.
I mean, there is a difference, but um, I would never like. I don't mind. I will because
So wait, are there's two women equally beautiful
it's
in
always going
your
to be the
eyes?
younger.
So one's 35 and one's 18. They're equally beautiful. You would choose the 18-year-old?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, because she's more moldable.
Yeah, but she also be more pain in the ass.
Well, I mean, like I would apply the principles, and if it doesn't matter because the principles protect me. If she can't hang in it, then she's gone. So it's like it doesn't matter. Like I know I'm only gonna put.
But with the 35, you can have different conversations, right? So there's sex, but then it's a woman, it's your partner, right? So you can spend a lot of time with her. A lot of time you're not having sex. You're driving, you're conversating. The 18-year-old wants to talk about Instagram and whatever, and then her friends, like she's talking and chatting with the friends and doing all that the 18-year-old does, and their mind's going all there, and you're like driving the car, listening to her talk. She doesn't know how to control so I guess you're gonna be her teacher, so you're willing to be the teacher.
Yeah, I mean, again, like if I can't do it, it'll be what it is.
And then with like a 35, so say you
But there's no guarantees with
say
the
you're going
35
through
either.
something. Say you're going through. No, I'm saying,
Yeah,
well,
there's no guarantees with either one of them.
well, there is a guarantee that 35-year-old will have twice as much life experience.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah,
That's but it doesn't mean it's going to work between us.
no. But I'm
Yeah,
saying she's definitely going to be have more life experience,
for sure, no doubt about that.
and like like little things like knowing when to talk, when not to talk, like knowing like I said, like knowing when she has something to contribute to the conversation or not. Just like that's just anybody. Not and like as you get older, you realize when to talk, when to listen, who's got what I mean, those types of things. And say you're going through something, and you want somebody to talk to, right, about what you're experiencing at work, this new challenge.
I would go to my boys too. Like I believe this one too because Andrew says this, and a lot of the in the manosphere says you don't go to women for the most part
about your problem.
about your problems.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they don't understand it. So you go to them for different things, but not for that.
What I like though is I like to philosophize about concepts and chew up concepts, and I would like to do that with my partner. And I guess that doesn't really matter how old you are. It just matters how sharp your mind is. Like
That's the bottom line. Like
analyze.
if I look at going with the 18-year-old and she already likes having sex, and so she's young, and you're making her come and all that stuff, so you're going to have a certain amount of control. So if you try to mold it with your principles and it doesn't pan out, fine. But I'm going to give it the shot. And the same thing with the older woman, but she might be more set in her ways. She could sometimes being set in your ways is just as hard as somebody who doesn't have experience. It depends on who they are. Can they be molded? Can she be molded? Does she know like how to be quiet and follow my lead, or does she know where to yield with all her experience where she needs to and fit into what I'm doing? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no answers, but I would say the chances of having a family with a younger woman at this age would be the 18-year-old because she has all her eggs and she can actually provide a family. And so I would be thinking that way. But either way, I know I have no control on what, if anything, lasts. All I know is I have to follow the principles. And if they can be in my world with me applying what I believe males are, positive, stabilizing force is male energy. We stabilize, we're positive, we protect, so I just say follow the principles, and then who has the intelligence, to be with me, or I wouldn't say intelligence, just wants to be with me on their own accord, without with their out their arm being twisted. They like what's happening. They feel good around me because I feel that's what I mean. I think that's what you have to be somebody that's interesting to be around. I don't care if you're young or old. Interesting is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so yeah.